Hi everyone, today I'm going to be filming a review of two books that I have been waiting for ages. So The Beginning of the World in the Middle of the Night and Franklin's Flying Bookshop, both by Jen Campbell. So I got sent these as proof copies by, this was Two Roads and this was Thames and Hudson. So I'm going to start with this one, The Beginning of the World in the Middle of the Night. I got the day proof, and there's another proof you may have seen it about, the night proof. I'm really happy I got the day proof. I actually really wanted the day proof because I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. The book, when it comes out, won't have this cover or the night cover. It's going to have a different cover, but I think it's so nice that the publishers have done a run of with a different cover, and I think Jen definitely knows how to get a blogger excited because I got a pack with loads of bits in it, and they all tied into the short stories that are in this collection. So I got her a fruit tea. My brother drank it, he said it was good, and it was beautiful because it actually came out into a flower. Then there was some silver Smarties, which my mum enjoyed, and then there was loads of little bits that definitely tied in to all the stories, and afterwards I looked at all those things and I was like, oh yeah, that one goes in that one and that one goes in that one, which I thought was very clever. Now, onto the stories themselves. I thought they were very cleverly written, and I fell in love with nearly every single one in about 7 pages. So I think that's very impressive. Usually I avoid short stories because I don't make that quite connection with the characters, and I'm not really that bothered. However, in this collection of short stories, Jen is very cleverly made the characters very real, very quickly. You seem to know an awful lot about them within the first page. So she has taken some classic fairy tales or folk tales and turned them into more modern stories, and she has also created some modern folk tales and fairy tales that she would like to be around today and told. Most of the stories have very strong moral learning at the end, and I especially loved one that was about, it centred around some plants, and I'm not going to talk about that anymore, but if you read it you will understand the story I'm on about. If you read the back you will see that it's very, very abstract, so there are mermaids and there are people who talk with death, and I don't know, stories with spirits in them, and like plants that are alive, and other things that just wowed me. Sometimes I do struggle with fantasy, I'm very open about that on here, but this felt very real. I love fantasy when you could believe it happening and it's written in such a way that you really like the characters, so I really enjoyed this, and it didn't take me long to read because the short stories, well, they were short, so that was brilliant because, as many of you know, I struggle with my concentration and I also struggle with my memory, so short stories were brilliant for me because it's very rare that I get to see a story from start to finish in one sitting and I can remember all the intricacies, because I struggle committing things to my memory, so my short term isn't too bad. So I'm definitely going to explore more short story collections, and maybe some more fantasy as well, some more fairy tale esque type things, but I do think they have to be written in a certain way, a very talented way, so well done Jen. Secondly, I have this, Franklin's Flying Bookshop. Now this is gorgeous. I talked about this with my mum and my grandma, and they both looked at each other and said, Hannah, if you were little we definitely would have bought that. So my grandma was fabulous at buying books for me when I was growing up. We didn't have a huge amount of money because we were doing our house up, so grandma was amazing at like encouraging that little reading bug I had. She bought me, you know, I've still got quite a lot of them because they were hardback and gorgeous, and I know for a fact that she would have picked this up like a shot. She looked through it and she was just so happy. So the story centres around Franklin and this little girl, and everyone is scared of Franklin, and until he meets this little girl. I'm not going to say much more because I do think it's a book adults should read and buy. Now, I don't say that lightly. If I didn't think that, I wouldn't say that. It's got a good moral to it, I think, and it kind of makes you realise that, yeah, you know, people aren't scary just because of what you think about them. You definitely need to get to know them, and that childlike innocence meant that this girl got to know this dragon. There is another strong reason in the plot that my grandmother said they would have bought me this book without hesitation, but I'm not going to give that away. It's very centred around books, which I love, because I love a book that encourages reading. I think that is a very clever way of encouraging people, especially little tiny people, to read. I know sometimes I may seem very vague, but I've actually said quite a lot about these books because I really, really enjoyed them. I would definitely say that you should read them, and Jen just hit it out of the ballpark, if I'm honest. This is the first bit of fiction that I've read from Jen. I've read her Bookshop books and things customers say in bookshops, but I haven't read any of her fiction. And Jen, if you ever watch this, please write a lot more. Please do short stories and novels, and I am so pleased that you did a collection of short stories, because I bet there is a lot of pressure to write a novel, and I am so chuffed that you've got me into a whole new genre. Thanks again for watching. If any of you have any short stories to recommend to me, even if they're just on the internet, they're not necessarily in a book, I would love to read them, because I'm going to really try with that genre now, because it brought me an awful lot of joy. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time. Bye!